Welcome back. We're having our final conversation this morning, and as we mentioned, it's all about TNC's new tool, or two new tools used in the marine spatial planning. We have here with us Shari Gentle in the middle, and she is the MSP Communications and PR Officer, as well as Chad Bowman, the MSP Science Lead Officer, and Delwin Guevara, and he is the GIS Mapping and Spatial Analyst, here to talk to us about it. Guys, thanks so much for joining us, and welcome.
Thank you for having us. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Before we jump into the two new tools, let's get an update on TNC and the work that has been taking place over there.
Right, so just for clarification, this is Coastal Zone Management Authority and Institute. We work closely with TNC as it relates for the development of the Marine Spatial Plan. However, the agency that is the lead agency for the development of the Belize Sustainable Ocean Plan is Coastal Zone Management Authority and Institute. So it's us that will be doing the interview, and it is us that will be doing the development of the Marine Spatial Plan that is called the Belize Sustainable Ocean Plan. So of recently, we have been doing a lot of stakeholder engagement, a lot of work that relates to getting the grassroots information into the development of the information that we need for the Marine Spatial Plan. So most recently, you will find from our social media, our website, and other engagement that we have been doing some surveys within 27 communities that is called the Ocean Use Survey. So that's one of the highlights that we have been working on for most recently from January until the middle of April, thereabout. However, one of the most pressing things that we're working towards for this year is the work towards establishing or reaching milestone 4 of the Conservation Funding Agreement.
All right, well, let's jump into the two new tools. As you mentioned, you were giving me some information before. There's a launch of two new tools that will be used in marine spatial planning. Let's touch on that.
So the two use, Chad mentioned one already, which is the our Ocean Use Survey, but the tool itself is called Sketch. So one of the things about marine spatial planning is that it has to be a process that's participatory and that the public get to participate. So upon that, we were exploring what tools to use, and we saw that Sketch was a good tool to use because it actually allowed that the users of our ocean, of our sea, get to draw on maps and determine what areas they use on a map, so that brings in that participatory side of the MSP where they themselves get to draw those areas and also prioritize what areas they use. Now, the second tool that we're going to use is the MarkSan tool, which is another tool that's used for modeling, and it takes all of this like spatial information, so things like maybe like the same information we got from the first tool, which is our Ocean Use Survey. We can take the conservation areas in Belize, the marine habitats, different types of spatial information, and put it into this model, and it helps us determine an objective. And in our case, and in the MSP, and Chad mentioned some of the milestones, is we have to reach up to 30% biodiversity protection of Belize. So MarkSan and all these tools will help us accomplish some of the objectives of our MSP.
Let's step back a bit, and perhaps for the benefit of our viewers, explain the purpose of marine spatial planning and why it is important for persons who use our sea spaces.
Right, so if you're looking at the spectrum when it comes to the ocean space, I think it's well documented of the diminishing returns that we're receiving as it relates to ecosystem services, the threats that are being posed upon the ocean space by anthropogenic activities, also the externalities of climate change and those related exogenous stressors or actors on the ocean space. Essentially, what we are trying to achieve as it relates to the Marine Spatial Plan is to provide a type of management framework that is more efficient and more effective in managing the ocean resources. And so UNESCO defines marine spatial planning process as analyzing the ocean space and allocating the various spatial uses, that's space uses, and also temporal or time phrases uses of the ocean space, so that we could have that sustainable development nexus being achieved. So social benefits being accrued from the ocean space, economic benefits being also received, and also we are not in conflict with the ocean space or the environment itself. So that's the premises of why we're looking towards implementing or developing a marine spatial plan. We want to make sure that the premises of us believing that if there is a healthier ocean, the ecosystem services and the ecosystems or the environment that we rely on for, if it's just protein, persons who are from Corozal Bay that utilizes the ocean space just to receive their protein, their daily protein, it will provide that as we would improve our engagement with the environment and improve our management framework with the overall ocean space.
Shar, let's get you in the conversation and touch on why this is important for our viewers to understand the work being done through the Belize Coastal Zone.
Okay, it's important for the viewers because they play a huge part in this process, right? So the guys spoke about the science aspect of the process, but it's also important to acknowledge that it's a stakeholder-driven process, right? So stakeholder-driven means that we need that income from that information from the public. It's a linked in between science-based and stakeholder engagement. So since 2022, we have been engaging the public through technical working groups identified within 7 sectors, which included tourism, fishing, agriculture, mariculture. We had transportation, coastal development as well. We also had last year, we had 10 public engagements within the coastal communities. We also had educational and outreach public booths to get people involved, knowing the facts about the process. In addition to that, it's important for stakeholders to understand that they are important to the process and their input is valid in any means. We went to some meetings where some stakeholders are very vocal and are willing to tell you, what they see fit, what doesn't work, what they think can change. We have others that are a bit shy and reserved and feel like there's a different way they can channel their information, whether it be an anonymous comment box at the meeting or whatever it is. It's important that we identify these different avenues or venues for the stakeholders to identify with, and they can use to address any concerns, make any suggestions towards the process. With the Ocean Youth Survey now, we had teamed up with many partners who helped us along with students from the different universities. We worked with WCS, we worked with Blue Bonds, and which other one?
Clearwater Marine
Reserve. And then when it comes to the enumerators, we had some students from the University of Belize, Escuela Mexico,
Muffles.
Yeah, so it was a very inclusive process to get the students involved along with the stakeholders. We reached out to them so that they were able to help us, and they built in capacity as well the nature of this plan to help with something that is great for the country.
Speak to us about the partnership or the fact that the Nature Conservancy has played a role in getting the CZMI into this project.
Well, I guess we're starting at the signing of the agreement, which provides the basis for relieving Belize of its debt burden. That's the starting point. But currently, when you're talking about this Belize Sustainable Ocean Plan, TNC provides technical support to the Coastal Zone Management Authority and Institute throughout the process. So there's direct support when it comes to specialized information coming to the science and technical aspects of the development of the Marine Spatial Plan, and there's also stakeholder and communication technical support being provided as well. And I think the partnership has been very fruitful so far. We work really well together. I think Shari made mention of the field work that we have done with the OUS. I think if I remember correctly, TNC was there. We did 27 communities, and TNC provided technical support in about almost all of these communities. And it is not only TNC. We work closely with WCS in some of the key communities that they work and have stakeholder engagement existing in those. We work closely with the Fisheries Department, we work closely with the Blue Bunds, and we work closely with the Blue Economy. Those persons or those agencies are part of our core planning team. We have, right now we're meeting bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks we are in a call with them, and we're receiving technical support, receiving overall inputs on some of the outputs that we provide throughout the process so far. So, you know, it's well extended beyond just one partner or one agency doing the work. At another level, and I just want to extend a bit more, the governance framework extends also to technical working groups. We have 7 technical working groups that are identified with the 7 Blue Economy sectors. So for every sector that we're working towards to identify existing conditions and building future conditions for the Marine Spatial Plan, we also have a technical working group that is comprised of government agencies and also NGOs and the civil society to provide that level of fruitful discussion and that level of technical inputs or scientific input into it. I know Shari mentioned the public contribution. It is very robust, as we would want to say, just about anything that you could think you could communicate and interact with BSOP. We are at that point right now. It has been phased in, as Shari mentioned, but we're at that point or that capacity whereby if you want to reach us on social media, you want to reach us on email, you want to reach us, it is there. And the Ocean Youth Survey really satisfied a bit more of it, whereby we were in 27 communities and we enumerated 2,295 persons have a representation from all these coastal communities for that survey. So there's I don't know how many polygons were drawn, Delwyn, but you're the man for that. But you know, the voice of the public and or technical stakeholders are being infused into the process. So
you mentioned earlier that the end goal is to provide 30% coverage in terms of marine conservation. What has been the challenges insofar as trying to get to this particular percentage or this particular ratio?
Yeah, I would say it's a bit difficult. It's challenging because Belize already has 20.5% protected. So right now we're at a stage where we're trying to identify up to 25. So we're taking it by phases. And I would say it's primarily the fishing sector that you know we have to be careful. You know, we have to keep them involved. So that's the primary basis of it: keeping people involved, keeping them well informed, so that we can achieve this. Because without that, it's going to be a challenge.
So, Chad, you spoke of at this point welcoming all information at any point because we are now approaching the next stage. What happens now? Now that we identified the 2 tools, the purpose of it, of course, the collaboration that is involved, what is the next stage?
I believe we're going to do validation of these maps that were the data collected from the OUS will be developed into heat maps. Now it's going back to the public and the stakeholders and getting their feedback and their input into that to see where any discrepancies may have been highlighted and get their feedback into that to gather that scientific data as well as getting back that stakeholder participation that is needed for the BSOP process.
yeah, there's an additional step, the key activity that we're doing, the work of Milestone 4. I'll leave Delwyn to speak a bit about that.
Sure.
The engagement that we're planning to do in the future.
Okay, well, that would be for the heat maps and engaging them for the heat maps. So we have to. So we mentioned the Ocean Youth Survey and people's input and priority areas, but now we're gonna be at a stage where those same individuals that we did the survey with, we're gonna reach out back to them and have them validate our heat maps. You know, and that's just one aspect of it. You know, because that's just determining the priorities. But we also have to look at the conflicts and different compatibilities. As it relates to our ocean space. So I would say it's a very complex process, but that's the stage where we are. analyzing these existing conditions, determining what are the conflicts, what are the compatibilities, and what are the uses and the priorities for the ocean users.
This seems like really interesting work. I'm trying to understand, I'm paying keen attention to what's taking place. So I'm hoping that our viewers are also able to grasp the importance of this work and, of course, how it benefits us on a larger scale. You spoke about what's happening next, about the collaboration involved, and, of course, how the small person on the ground can also be a part of it by sharing information. Let's look at the broader picture. What are we trying to achieve? With the research that is being done, of course, highlighting the importance of marine spatial planning as well. What is the broader picture here?
All right, let me go. So essentially the broader picture is to, I kind of anecdotally said it in the beginning with regards to why we're doing the marine spatial plan, but we are hoping as a result of, well, our vision is as a result of the development of this plan, and when it rolls out, the management and the overall interaction we have with the ocean space is by far more, is more compatible. From our side, when we look at analyzing the existing condition, there are several things we give consideration to. You know, what are the competing activities that people are doing in the ocean space? It could be user competition for a certain space or a certain resource, or it could also be user environment competition. And so these are the things that we want to lay out and look at what is currently happening. But at the end of all of this, we are intended to see if we could minimize some of these conflicts and make things a bit more compatible, but also develop scenarios or develop plans that will benefit us socially, economically, and environmentally in the long run.
As it stands, what are some of those conflicts that you were alluding to?
Well, I honestly, I don't want to speak as if I know 100% what they are, but we're going to do some of that exercise in this week. And actually, that's my session in this week when we do the Marine Spatial Plan workshop. So we have a suite of uses, human uses, and also environmental features that we have documented. It has been documented from before we started the Marine Spatial Plan, because Coastal Zone has a repository of a lot of spatial data, have done the ICZM plan in the past. And so with the Ocean Use Survey and the current work we're doing with the MSP, we have this list of uses and a list of environmental features that we're going to present to the participants of this workshop. And they're going to do the initial analysis on grading the level of compatibility or the level of conflict that exists between these uses. If I give just a raw example, Delwyn, one of Delwyn's favorite example is the split in Keycocker, how many activities are occurring in that small space in the split. So we're going to look at scenarios like that. The breakout group's going to have some enriched conversation, and they're going to say, all right, if you're talking swimming and I don't know, marine transportation at a certain location, these are not compatible, or maybe restoration and maybe a nature-based type of tourism may be compatible with each other. But we will, like I believe Shari have mentioned, it is transparent, it's inclusive. It is not Coastal Zone to determine that. We will determine that as a part of the process.
What has been, through this entire exercise thus far, what has been perhaps a recurring theme or concern raised by your stakeholders?
I would say that the concern of the 30%, and I believe it's a misconception or misinformation-wise that they believe that this 30% is being developed or needed from scratch. So we're starting from scratch, which is not the case. When we engage them, we have to ensure that we rectify that and let them know that it's just an additional 4.5. We already have under biodiversity protection 20.5%. So we're just looking now for suggestions that you think need more management or enforcement in some areas, and this is information we get from them. As we said, it's not coastal zone identifying, it's the stakeholders that we engage let us know where they believe more management or enforcement is needed.
Yes. I'll use this opportunity to ask if you have any final points, Mr. Guevara, about the work that you're doing in particular.
No, I think that my whole thing is mapping, so just getting to see the different users, how they draw, how they're actually spatially aware of their ocean. To me, that's something that I get to appreciate from many of our ocean users, and to me, just having that input from them is something that's really important for this process.
Mm-hmm. And yourself, Mr. Bowen?
Similarly, I think it is really a very mind-blowing thing when you interact with the stakeholders. We have interact with stakeholders at varying levels. You know, when we do technical work in groups, interact with them, you have a perception that this level will be different from that level or so forth, but it's really, you know, mind-blowing that, you know, the awareness of our stakeholders at varying level, the information that they know, and their willingness to have that continuous dialogue. I think Belize is beyond blessed as it relates to, you know, how we have done things in the past and where we're at right now. Mm-hmm. We are really moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Ms. Gentle, any final words?
My final words would be like a call for action for our stakeholders and the general public to get involved. This is a plan it's not made for us, it's made for Belizeans, and it's important that their voices are heard in any form. So reach out to us via our website, social media platforms. We have a telephone, and we'll be on WhatsApp very shortly. So shoot us a message if you have questions, if you're not sure about certain things, if you need clarification, even if you have suggestions, recommendations, we are open to hear them all.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for stopping by, giving us this update on what's taking place, and of course, how everyone can get involved. We wish you all the best, and we hope to have you here again soon.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
All right, we're going to take our final break, and when we come back, we wrap things up.